Hello, everyone. If you struggle with connecting to people and maybe your listening skills aren't, well, perhaps they could be improved, then today you're in for a treat because I'm joined by the wonderful Deb Porter, and she's going to talk all about listening and listening specifically for connection. So I'm going to hand straight over to you, Deb.
Thank you so much, Julie, and welcome to your listeners. I'm Deb Porter. I'm the founder of Hold Hearing Out Life Drama. Really quick, my background and training that makes me an authority in what I do. I have a 96-hour Master of Divinity degree with a specialization in care and counseling. It was originally intending to be a United Methodist pastor, but ended up leaving the church fairly early on when the LGBTQ plus issue blew up. But to your listeners, because I know they're interested in listening for connection, let's get there. So, what are some habits that people can develop? I found it so interesting when I discovered that in the United States, only 2% of people have ever been trained in any kind of active listening. That's astounding. Only 2%. Like everybody tells us in kindergarten, listen, but nobody ever teaches us how to do that. Like what is involved in that? What steps do you need to take so that you can develop that connection? And so the first thing is probably obvious, and everybody's going to groan and go, okay, why am I listening to this chick? But the really important thing that so many people forget is you have to tune in. And that means you need to put away any distractions. So if your phone is going off, if your TV is on, you need to turn the vol or the radio, turn it down, turn it off, and focus. You really need to focus with intention if you're going to listen well. It's very critical. That means if you're trying to worrying about that telephone call or that text, that means that the connection with your spouse or your kid is going to miss because they know that they're not the most important thing. You got to let people know, hey, you matter right now. You're the thing that matters in my life. So that's very key. And so everybody goes, okay, yeah, I got that. The next thing, common listening mistake that people make, and it's a habit that they develop that they don't even realize that they're doing it, is they'll get pulled off of their emotional center. One of the things that I teach in my active listening course, Listen Your Way to Deeper Connections, is that you have to stay calm in order to listen well. So that means that if something comes up that is emotionally charged, you have to be able to emotionally regulate. And if you can't do that, what does that mean? That means you got to be able to stay present without getting pulled off of your emotional drama that's going on, the turmoil that comes up inside of you, right? So what does that look like? So I'm gonna give you an example. So for me, uh, there was a time that my son, I have two kids, my son, he came to me and he said, he had just turned 17 and he said, Mom, I want to enlist in the military. And I had feelings about that. I had very strong feelings about that. And we started the conversation. He was trying to explain to me why he wanted to do this thing. And I I was not calm. I was not calm. Okay. And I knew that about myself. Like I could feel myself I was getting louder. It was getting more and more and more like and the conversation was going off the rails. And I said, look, I love you so much. And this conversation is really important. And I know I am not calm right now. We need to come back to this conversation. He's like, oh, okay. Because he's been with me before, right? He's experienced this before. So he's like, how long do you think you need? Because sometimes it can be as little as 5 minutes. It depends on how emotionally dysregulated you are. I'm like, this one might take a while. I don't know. I'll let you know. And you know, we checked in a little while later in the day. I'm like, nope, not ready yet. Sorry, nope. And it was actually a couple of days before I was able to come back to him and said, okay, I think I'm ready now to really have this conversation. You have to be able to stay calm in a conversation if you're really going to listen to what the other person says. It's essential. That calm is just essential. And so um, that's a key piece of a habit to develop is making sure that you're always calm. All right, what else? So another habit that people often have is a really good friend to you says, and I don't know what to do. And I don't know what to do. And you immediately can see the solution for them. You can tell you what they should do. And so you jump right in and say, well, have you thought about this? Or don't do that. So a habit you can really develop is when somebody says that to you, or they're just even distressed, you can simply reflect back to them what you hear them feeling. That sounds overwhelming, or I hear you're really upset, or um, that you sound really angry. I get why you'd feel that way. Do you need time to just sit with that, or did you want to think about some solutions? And then follow their lead. If they're ready and they want to, great. Then you have their permission, and then jump right in. But if they say no, I really just needed to say that out loud. I just needed to vent. So many people, that's all they need. They just need the time to blurt it out and then be able to move on. So anyway, those are a couple of really key things that people can do that are very practical and hopefully helpful to your listeners.
Oh my goodness, that's so, so powerful. I can't believe that it's only 2%, or can I? Um, but also I think those things, even though for someone who is practicing listening, which clearly you are, and I know it's an ongoing thing, it's a lifelong skill to practice.
Yes.
It might seem obvious, but actually we don't think about that. And often you see people out for dinner. I see people out for dinner and they've got their phones with them. They might not be looking at them, but they're on the table. And I think that also just says to me, well, that person's not interested. They're not putting their phone away, not
Yep.
interested in what I've got to say, or what that other person's got to say. But what you said about regulating yourself, I think that's what the word you used.
Yes.
Are there some ways that you would suggest people kind of soothe themselves? I guess it's a similar word, same sort of thing.
Exactly.
How
Exactly
would
that.
you,
Yes.
have you got any practices that people can start to use to be able to regulate, to be able to soothe themselves when they find that they are very, very emotional and very kind of caught up in their response to what's been said?
My first go to is always breathing, right? Just if I can just calm myself with my breath. So I have a couple of different breathing practices. People might have heard of box breathing. There's another technique that I found that a friend, Stacy Pringle, who's another active listener, she shared with me, and it's inhale all the way as far as you can, and then breathe in a little bit more. Like force yourself to go further, and then exhale. And I found when I do that, it's really calming. So that's one thing. The next thing is like with the bigger thing with my son, I needed to move my body. I needed to move around, and I needed to figure out um and get myself into a headspace where it wasn't about me and what I wanted, but I so I could really hear him and what he was telling me, like because I was so clear. I did not want him to be in the military at all. I still don't, and he still is, and so it's a thing. And yet I understand that it's his path. He is creating his journey, his life, and my role from the get go was to raise and love a young person into adulthood to be able to do that with whatever brought them joy and whatever they needed on their life to create the best scenario for them. So I don't know if that makes sense, but those are a few things for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so often we can respond as a knee-jerk reaction, or we can be we can think we're listening to someone, but actually we're thinking about what we're going to say. And as soon as there's a kind of, pause in the conversation, however brief, we're going to get our thing in there. But actually, that is not what you're talking about. Can you say a little bit about the box breathing? I know what it is, but for those people that have not heard of it and don't know what it is.
Yeah, so it's basically breathing four counts in a box. So in for holding, and then out for, and then yeah, it's counts of four in and out.
So it's imagining that box, so kind of
Yeah,
visualizing that and making that, yeah, okay, and just focusing on that. Brilliant. Fantastic. Anything else you want to add, Deb? I know there's so much more you could say, but is there anything else that you think is really, really important that people might not yet have heard?
I think the most important thing is we can always learn. Like even if we're like, I know how to listen, you can always get better. Even if you like, oh my God, I never did have any active listening training. You're right. That's okay. It doesn't matter. Start from where you are and just build the skill. It's just like a muscle, just like you would train any other skill that you have in your life. It just takes practice. And with practice, those connections that really matter in your life will get deeper.
Absolutely, it's a habit. And I guess the other thing is, as well as listening to what other people are saying, it's about listening to ourselves and what it is that we're needing. And yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so, so much, Deb. For those of you that have been really inspired and want to know more about active listening and more about Deb, then check out her links. They'll be below this video. Mine will be there as well. And reach out to her and ask her a question. She's so, so brilliant and is such an expert in what she does. So thank you very much, Deb. And thank you, everyone else, for watching.
Thank you.